Welcome, this is now question 2 for Edexcel S1 June 2000, whatever it is, 12. Now, in this question, we're asked to find, we're told that the bank reviews its customer records, basically the number of people unemployed and the number of houses repossessed. And they're coded using these variables. So obviously that's the unemployed and H is the houses repossessed to get these X and Y. Obviously they've worked that out. You don't need to worry about that. And we're given these values. The sum of X, the SXX, the sum of Y, SYY, and the sum of XY. Now you don't have to be you do actually have to be a student doing S1 to realise what we've not got there is SXY. And we're asked to find the product moment correlation coefficient, which is PMCC, or R as it's called in your formula books. And that is SXY over the square root of SXX times SYY. Now I'm not 100% that's going to be in the formula. Yeah, it is. And it actually tells you in my sheet how it's created, but you don't need to know that. We don't really need to care. Well, actually, it doesn't show it's created. It just shows. Anyway, now you need to know what SXY is, and that's EXY take EXY over N. Okay, so we know N is 12. Sorry, this is over 12 period, 12 months, so N is equal to 12. Okay, so sum of EXY, well, that's the final one. So that's 23,070, 237,070. Take EXEY, so it's take 477 times 480 over 12. Okay, and sorry, right over N. And if you work that one out, you would get a value for SXY. Sorry, yeah, there's 3,990 or 3,990. Okay, so what we've got here is we've got the key figures. So we've got SXY, SYY, and SXX. So all it is a case of doing now is plugging these three numbers into the PMCC. And if you were to do that, so SXY being 3,990 over the square root of 5606.25 times 4244. You put it in the PMC, which is just what I've said. You would get a value for the PMC as 0.82. Okay, it's actually 0.817, but I've just left it as to two decimal places. As I said, it doesn't really matter. Because it's not asking for anything, but I would leave it to 2 decimal places or 3 significant figures. Okay, now the next part says, write down the product's moment correlation coefficient for U and H. Now it's only worth 1 mark, so you should realise it's only worth 1 mark, hence it's probably going to be quite obvious. Now, this is where your knowledge comes in. Well, not knowledge really. Each H value, been taken away, does that even make sense? Had 20 taken away from it and divided by 7. So basically, if you imagine this as a ratio, each H value has been moved by a certain ratio. So the PMCC actually shows the gradient, or if the PMCC is quite strong, it's going to show a linear gradient, so it's going to be constant. Obviously, a constant of proportionality there, but that's for another question, part of the question even. Okay, so as I said, it's only worth 1 mark, so it'll be quite obvious. So all H values are changed by a certain ratio, all the X values are changed by a certain ratio. So what this means is the overall relationship between these two variables hasn't changed. All that it's done is made the numbers easier to read. And if this was left as it was before, so we times all these values by 3 and add 100 to them, they would become enormous. Now individual values, not just some of them. So basically by doing that, it's just shorten the values down for us. So they will give the same PMCC, but they're going to be of different magnitudes. Okay, so it's worth 1 mark, so you don't need to explain that, you just need to put it down. Okay, if it was maybe 2 or 3 marks, I would put that explanation in there, but you don't have to. Okay, so you can just write B as 0.82. C says, the bank claims that an increase in unemployment among its customers is associated with an increase in house repossessions. State the reason why is supported or not by the data. Now, what this shows, because we've said the PMCC, that's why it's asked us that second question for the unemployment and houses. We need to know it's the same. So basically, this is the PMCC for the unemployment and the houses. So it's the relationship between the two. Now, depending on what kind of range you've said, your teacher's said, it varies. The exam board lets you have a good range of answers for this, but the key words they're looking for overall is something to do with it. Obviously, it's positive, so yes, the bank statement is correct, and it's quite a strong relationship as well. So that further substantiates the bank's claim. Now, if that was positive, then yes, there is a relationship there, but you need to also state it's strong. I mean, if you put very strong or strong, obviously, wouldn't make too much of a difference. But you'd be very rare to find anything that is 1. Okay, so what you generally say is anything less than a quarter, so 0.25 is very weak, if anything there at all. And between 0.25 and 0.5, it's moderate, and anything above 0.5 is considered strong or very strong. Okay, so you can either put strong or very strong. But all you need to say is because it's positive and a strong relationship, it shows that these two variables have a strong and positive relationship between the two other. Now, when I say two variables, I mean unemployment and house repossessions, which makes sense. Now, if you got a value that was minus something, then you know you should be wrong, because obviously people, they're not going to make this, well, obviously they made this data up, but they're not going to create a value which doesn't make sense, especially in economics terms, because we're in maths, and maths is logical. Okay, so that's question 2. Quite a nice 6 marks there. Managed to get that one without making too much of a mess. So just a bit of theory really behind that. The last 3 marks, so half that question was pure knowledge really, and being able to interpret these. So you got as much marks for actually working it out as you did just simply interpreting it. Okay, and just a tip for that. If you couldn't do this for some reason, you could just make up a number and say, assuming this is the value for the PMCC, and come up with some kind of logical explanation. Alright? But hopefully you got that, you didn't need to resort to that tactic. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.